we're not going to cry for Argentina because they've just elected the most based individual in the world.
That's right. The new president of Argentina is a guy called Javier Milei. Javier Milei is a far-right libertarian, alt-right fascist extremist, because this is what he has to say about socialists.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda.
The problem is, Ramon, he's not exactly wrong, is he? I mean, I quite like his approach, and that is we call out the people that we don't like, and we pretty much identify the problem, and then we get rid of the problem. I must admit, I was incredibly surprised that the individual won the election. I was hoping they win the election, because let us not forget that the ANC recently said that they wish to emulate the economies of South America. And hopefully they emulate the economy of Argentina now. Remember, they also wanted to incorporate Argentina into BRICS. I'm suddenly in favor for this incorporation.
Well, all of that is sort of somehow under threat because Milei is very unusual. He's a libertarian. He's not a socialist libertarian, so he's against abortion. He thinks the Pope is a filthy communist, which I agree. He loves Israel. So he's not one of these like non-aggression principle libertarian types. He's like a right-wing libertarian. And what he wants to do is take a chainsaw to the state of Argentina. This is what he wants to do to the departments of the government.
Turismo y deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. Aunque te resistas. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, Adoctrinamiento, afuera. Ministerio de Transporte, afuera. Ministerio de Salud, afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social, afuera. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
So essentially what we're looking at here is South Africa is bad as an economy, but Argentina is just far worse. And according to the Argentines, this is the guy that can help fix it.
And if you look at why Argentina is in a bad situation, well, the answer is actually very easy to understand. And that is, it's had socialist policies for the last umpteen years, and every single time somebody goes in there and tries to fix it, well, guess what? They just vote in the same socialist again, who compounds the issues. And as we all know in the saying, socialists eventually run out of other people's money to spend, which is exactly what happened on Argentina. They currently have hyperinflation that would make Zimbabwe blush.
Well, I mean, it's not as bad as Zimbabwe, but inflation currently sits at 100%. The problem is Argentina has had several IMF bailouts over the past few decades, very little in terms of the recovery of the economy. So Milei says we're going to dollarize the Argentinian currency and we're going to go straight ahead and be friendly with America and cut the state down to size. Now, all of that is good in my particular eyes. Whether he's able to achieve it or not, I don't really know. I think there are a lot of issues with what he wants to do. He doesn't like China, for example, which I think is a mistake, but we will see where this goes. Austerity has been tried in Argentina through the IMF. It hasn't worked. What he wants to do is austerity to an extreme level. Let's hope it does work.
So he claims that the reason that austerity has not worked in Argentina is because obviously of the inflated size of the state. You know, the deep state that many of us are already familiar with. The deep state that gets overpaid. You know, like in South Africa, where the private sector get paid more than the private sector. And it's you know, like South Africa, where the public sector gets paid more than the private sector. And all of our millionaires actually come out of the public sector, all getting paid by your taxes. All at the same time, whilst we have one of the largest civil services in the world, that do fuck all. Well, Argentina has the same problem. And this inevitably is the problem with all socialist economies. Which is inevitably why he's not very keen on China, because China is, for all intents and purposes, a communist state with socialist ideas. And what he wants is he basically says the only way now for Argentina to properly reform is to gut the deep state and go full hog capitalism the whole way, American style. Like this is the land of opportunity. Kill the state and allow the private enterprises to flourish. Will he be successful? I have my doubts, mainly because I can't see the state allowing him to do what he wants.
Let alone, the globalists, right? They allow El Salvador to get away with it because El Salvador is a tiny country that no one really cares about. Argentina is a different beast. Argentina could be a superpower in South America. They took out Bolsonaro of Brazil after 5 years, despite trying to thwart him throughout those 5 years. Now Milei is in for a 5-year term. Let's see if he actually survives it. But the reason why we talk about Argentina is because Argentina and South Africa are relatively the same sort of country. We suffer the same set of circumstances. Communist government, highly paid, inefficient civil service, debt burdened up to the eyeballs. And the Argentines say, listen, we just need an anarcho-capitalist to come in and tear this all apart. Which leads us to think, who is our Javier Milei right here in South Africa? Off the top of my head, I can't really sort of think of one.
Gayton. That's probably the closest we have to it. But with that being said, I think it's actually very telling to actually look at South America that has tried socialism now for the longest times. And all of the South American states are slowly but surely turning their back against socialism. We saw this in Brazil with the election of Bolsonaro. We now see even Lula coming in, the socialist again. Lula's not that popular, mate. And Lula's actually having to adopt some of Bolsonaro's policies. To a large degree, this time around, he's less socialist than he has been in the past. We've seen it in El Salvador, and now we're seeing it in Argentina. And I come back to the same comment again. Let us not forget that at the last policy conference, the ANC stated they want to be socialist like South America. But South America is not socialist anymore because it doesn't work. So the question really becomes, will South Africa take heed? Will we take note? Will we ditch the socialist bullshit? Will we elect our own version of Javier? Maybe a Gayton? Maybe Gayton can do it.
Maybe. I mean, it's a totally different continent, different set of circumstances, different population, different demographics. Everything's relatively different. But economically, they are pretty much the same thing. So for all of you who are saying, South Africa has hit rock bottom and we don't know what to do and we want to go elsewhere and, get bombed by Muslims in London, Argentina can do it. Argentina can find their voice and turn things around in a democratic sense. But there are so many options for Argentina, and there remains so many options for South Africa. Don't get too fussed about the daily nitty-gritty nonsense. What are the trends of the world? The trend of the world is becoming more conservative, more right-wing, more nationalist. Wait till that hits us in 5 years. Then you'll see a true difference.
A ver, yo creo que el gran problema argentino es un problema cultural. Es decir, esta es una sociedad que está infectada de socialismo. Y lo que hay que lograr es sacar el socialismo de la cabeza de la gente, ¿sí? Y los principales promotores de estas ideas son los políticos.